So this example question comes from the Big Island of Hawaii lab, question A5. This is a multi-part question with a lot of information. So let's go ahead and run through it. Part 1 of the question asks, what is your mean and range for the trade wind inversion tree line on the southeastern slopes of Mauna Loa in terms of its elevation and mean annual precipitation, or MAP, round off to the nearest 100. And part 2 is 500 meters above the tree line locations. How much has the average precipitation declined from the tree line locations? And once again, round off to the nearest 100. So this is a question in which you're going to need to use the geovisualization for Hawaii to answer this question. We're going to give you 5 different locations to check out. You're going to go to those locations and use the information that you find there to answer the multi-part question that we've given you. So let's break this down to see exactly what this question is asking for. First of all, we need to find our mean elevation and the range in elevation for the tree line, and we also need to find the mean and the range for the mean annual precipitation at these locations. And we also need to do that for the location 500 meters above that tree line location and determine how much the mean annual precipitation has declined from the tree line. So the easiest way to keep track of all of this information is using a chart. So we need to record the 5 different locations that we're going to be going to. We're going to give those to you in terms of latitude and longitude. So the first column we're going to have in our chart is our location. We need to find the elevation of the tree line in meters. So elevation of the tree line. We need to find the mean annual precipitation, or MAP, at the tree line. So MAP at the tree line. We also need to find out what the elevation is 500 meters above our tree line elevation. So our elevation plus 500 meters. And we also need to find out what the mean annual precipitation is at that location, 500 meters above our original elevation. So our MAP plus 500 meters. So we're going to do this for each of our 5 locations. Those are going to be given in terms of latitude and longitude. You can use the fast travel mode in the geovisualization to go to those locations. It's not going to drop you off exactly at the tree line, but it's very, very close nearby. And so you're just going to walk your avatar over to the line that separates the trees from not the trees. And that is the line that separates the green from the light brown in the geovisualization. So you're going to go to those 5 locations. We're going to call them location 1, location 2, location 3, location 4, and location 5. And let's go ahead and do this. So let's say you go to your first location and you see that your elevation is 1,911 meters. We're going to round to our nearest 100. So that's going to be 1,900 meters. And we're going to check our mean annual precipitation here. and say it's 1215. The nearest 100 is just 1200, so 1200 millimeters. And all this is saying that on average, this location receives 1200 millimeters of precipitation per year. Now we're going to go to our elevation 500 meters above the tree line. So 500 meters above this is 2400 meters. And you're going to walk your avatar up until the elevation is 2400 meters, and you're going to see what the mean annual precipitation is at that location. And let's say it's 905. So we're going to write down 900 millimeters of precipitation. And you're going to do that for each of the other 4 locations. So let's say that our elevations for those are 2100 meters, 2000 meters, 2000 meters, and 2000 meters. And the mean annual precipitations at these locations are 1100 millimeters, 1100 millimeters, 1100 millimeters, and 1100 millimeters. Very similar. They're all at generally the same elevation, so they're probably going to have very, very similar mean annual precipitations, especially because we're rounding to the nearest 100. So for these locations, plus 500 meters, you're going to walk your avatar up the slope. So 2100 plus 500 is 2600 meters. So you're just going to walk your avatar up 2600 meters and record the mean annual precipitation. These are all going to be 2500 meters, 2500 meters, 2500 meters. And the mean annual precipitations at these locations are going to be 800 millimeters, 800 millimeters, 800 millimeters, and 800 millimeters. So now we've recorded all the information that we need. We've gone to locations 1 through 5, rounded off what the elevation of the tree line is to the nearest 100 meters, recorded the mean annual precipitation in millimeters to the nearest 100. We've gone upslope 500 meters above our tree line, recorded that elevation, and also recorded the mean annual precipitation at those elevations 500 meters above the tree line to the nearest 100 millimeters. So now we have all of our information. Let's start answering the question. So first of all, in terms of elevation, our mean elevation in terms of our elevation of the tree line is just going to be 2000 meters. So the easiest way we can do that is just add up this plus this plus this plus this plus this divided by 5, and that's just going to come out to 2000 meters. So we're going to make an average. So our average elevation is going to be 2000 meters. Awesome. Our mean elevation is 2000 meters. Our mean annual precipitation is going to be 1120 millimeters. Add up all of these, divide it by 5, 1120. Our elevation 500 meters above the tree line, that average elevation comes out to 2500 meters, which makes sense because our average here is 2000. So our average 500 meters above is going to be 2500 meters. And then finally, our mean or our average mean annual precipitation 500 meters above the tree line is going to be 820 millimeters. We got that by adding all these up and dividing by 5 to get 820 millimeters. So that's awesome. We've answered part 1. We know our mean for each of these. Now we need to find our range. So the range is just the highest minus the lowest value. So our range in terms of tree line elevation is 200 meters, and our range is between 1900 meters, our lowest value, and 2100 meters, our highest value. So let's make a new row and call it range. And our range is just from 1900 meters to 2100 meters. It's our highest value right here and our lowest value right here. That's our range. And let's do that again for our mean annual precipitation. That's just between 1100 and 1200 millimeters. And over here, 2400 to 2600 meters. And over here, between 800 and 900 millimeters. Awesome. Let's not forget to round these values off to the nearest 100. So down here, we're going to get 2000. It's already rounded off. 2000 meters. Our mean annual precipitation right here, rounded off to the nearest 100, is just 1100 millimeters. This is already rounded, oh, excuse me. Our average value right here is already rounded to the nearest 100, so 2500 meters. And 820 rounded off to the nearest 100 is just 800 millimeters, excuse me. So just to make sure we've answered all parts of the question, let's go through it again. What is your mean and range for the trade wind inversion on the southeast slopes of Mauna Loa in terms of its elevation and mean annual precipitation? So, in terms of elevation, our mean is 2,000 meters. Our mean annual precipitation at the tree line is 1,100 millimeters. 500 meters above the tree line, our average is 2,500 meters. And our mean annual precipitation is 800 millimeters. Our range goes between 1,900 meters and 2,100 meters. That's our lowest tree line elevation to our highest tree line elevation. Our range in terms of mean annual precipitation is between 1,100 and 1,200 millimeters, our lowest versus our highest. Our range for the elevation 500 meters above the tree line is between 2,400 and 2,600 meters. And our range between the highest and the lowest mean annual precipitation 500 meters above our tree line is between 800 and 900 meters. So that answers our question. The precipitation drop off, so for part 2, 500 meters above the tree line locations, how much has the mean annual precipitation declined from the tree line? That's the last part of the question we have to answer. Well, all we have to do is check to see how much our mean annual precipitation has dropped off.